First, good morning, everyone. I wanted to thank the invitation from Sungkyunkwan University. I am really honored and pleased to talk to you this morning. And I'm very happy again for participating in the meeting between global IT professionals and King session. And this time, we're going to check the contents for enhancing organizational efficiency through software architecture. First, some facts about me. I am William Antonio Guzman Bernal. I believe in God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. I am a Colombian IT professional living in Chile. I have more than 20 years of working experience as developer, QA leader, math teacher, technical support, project manager, chief technology officer, DevOps, data architect, and solutions architect. Right now, I'm working as a pre-sales solutions architect at Scala 24/7. And my latest certification is the AWS Solutions Architect Professional. So I want you to think of this. In a near future, after more than 4 years, right, you are going to be celebrating, right? After more than 4 years of studying hard, working hard, getting good grades, you got your degree. So first, congratulations, right? Let's think of that. In a near future, that's going to happen. And there will be some possible scenarios, situations that you will face. We can start saying that, for example, you apply to a job offer, or someone offers you a job, or someone wants you to join a startup, or probably you are already working at a company. In either situation, no matter the situation, you are the software architect and you are the expert, right? So let's start thinking of that. You, all of you, software architects, you are considered the experts in the situation. But please do not forget this. No matter the situation, you are part of a team, and a team that may involve administrative and management, commercial sales, technological and developers profiles. All of them consist and integrate the company or organization you will be working. One way or another, you are gonna find all of these profiles. So please, at the beginning, let's consider that you are software architects who are part of a team, right? I'm not sure what are you doing, what are you thinking, but what I guarantee you is that you are part of a team. But before moving on, I want you to give you a small suggestion I wish I had known before starting my career. What if I ask you to do not think of a pink elephant? Probably the first thing you're going to be thinking is exactly the pink elephant. Why? Because our brain tries to go in a direction that simply ignores negations, right? There's a study that says that our brain works to process phrases that include negation. How? It mitigates rather than inverts the meaning. So please, you software architects, be very aware of the communication, where if it's verbal or physical, you are always communicating. Why am I suggesting you this? Because you will be talking to C-level or stakeholders in a project, and you may be facing situations where you want to say, please don't think of the costs. And that person, that driver, is first going to think of that. So try to change your mind and instead focus the direction into a positive one, right? You can tell or you can ask your C-level or stakeholder to think of the advantages, no matter the situation again. And also, please try to apply that to yourselves, because it's not the same to say, I will learn, or I will start, or I will do. That's a position. But instead, please to say to yourselves, I am learning, I am starting, and I am doing. Next, experts at everything, countdown. It's impossible to be expert in everything. And there's a technical phrase that is called the technical depth versus the technical breadth. If you think of a pyramid, at the top position is what I know. We move on an intermediate layer and we find what I know that I don't know. And finally, in a larger basement is what I don't know and I don't even know about it, right? You are starting, you are studying, you are progressing, and you can't think or can't expect that you are expert at everything. You need to balance. Balancing the portfolio of depth versus breadth in knowledge is just a professional requirement, but a career long. It is not going to be short, it's not going to be fast. So please don't rush, don't panic to try to be expert at everything. It will take you at least 10 years to achieve expertise in anything you want, anything, especially in our field, because information technology is huge, it's very wide. So do not try to be experts at everything. What you can do is try to analyze right now what you have been studying in your university, in your subjects, what is that thing that most interests you. That's something you can do from now. So we were talking that you have to recognize your own learning. Some people are skilled at reading, some others prefer practice. It's up to you. Please just make it part of your time, where if you like to read, do not forget about the practical part, because I have seen in my experience that many people go directly to coding, building, creating stuff, but they don't know the background, they don't know the why. The second suggestion I can give you is to expand your technical breadth. You are starting, so try to learn a little bit from many things, and it's okay. It's okay to ignore, right? Just to make sure that, for example, you want to work in networking. Okay, great. Try to learn the different protocols. No, I want to go to databases and data and analytics. Perfect. Go to frameworks. Go to the data sets you need to work. So try to expand your technical breadth. Then find mentors or mentor someone. I remember that there is a phrase, to teach is to learn twice. So try to identify the person you can be learning from, and also identify the person that is going to be your student, someone that will push you to learn more. Identify sources of information. You can have a huge source of information, but it will drive you crazy. It will just make you lose your control. So what I suggest you start to try to stay updated. You can differentiate and you can locate blogs, official documentation, obviously. There are also the technology radars. You can get to them and try to make small readings an habit in your daily lives so you can stay updated. Also remember that there is no such thing as a dumb question. Please do not be afraid of asking things. Ask questions is a very good source to learn things. There is no such thing as failure, only feedback. Again, we are all of us are learning, and the feedback is great. Where if it's positive or it's negative, try to get feedback from each one of your activities. And you also may find something called the imposter syndrome. Please don't be afraid of it. Every one of us has experienced this situation. And my suggestion is that don't compare yourself to other people. Right? You have your own learning, you have your own process. So do not try to compare your beginning to someone else's middle. it will not be, it will not give you positive things. So let's try to make a small review of what we have seen. Again, you are software architects who are part of a team. You are software architects who are constantly learning and improving. Do not forget about that. Now, what is architecture? And I'm obviously talking about the software context. And I tried to identify the most official concepts about it, and I went to the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, and the concept they have is that software architecture is the fundamental concept or properties of an entity in its environment and governing principles for the realization and evolution of this entity and its related life cycle processes. Then I went to the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and there's this standard, IEEE 1471, and they state that the software in architecture is the fundamental organization of a system embodied in its components, their relationships to each other and to the environment, and the principles guiding its design and evolution. So, if you want to think of a software architecture, we are creating the basement, right? We're creating the, the blueprint that will integrate process components, technical aspects, human aspects to create something, like in this example, the house, but we must think of future. That's why we also have the building. Do not try to think only of what you can achieve now. You need to scale your thinking. You need to consider future. Then I went with a single concept, in my humble opinion. Software architecture is the fundamental design of software components that correlate to each other to achieve present and future goals the best possible way. It's only an opinion. I invite you to create your own concept for software architecture. And I was curious, and I went to the educational goals of the Sun Kyung Kwan University, exactly the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. And I loved that you have these goals. You are trying to develop character, effective communication skills, and teamwork abilities required for engineers. You're fostering comprehensive problem solving skills based on creative thinking and fundamental engineering work knowledge. And you are also cultivating the capacity to be a global creative leader through continuous self development and a sense of responsibility. Again, I congratulate you because these goals try to summarize what I have been seeing in my life more than 20 years in all the profiles I mentioned before. So you can start to think, okay, if this is a statement that we can all agree on, then what is a software architect? And right now, you may be thinking, okay, so the software architect is the person who takes um, these technical requirements, we gather all the requirements from different perspectives, and we try to create a single diagram that shows networking, databases, data flows. Yeah, you can go in that direction. But again, I invite you to think in this other direction. We, and I'm telling you, we, including you, as software architects, are like bridges between their organization ideas and their products and services, the organization and their own customers, the organization staff and our staff. By staff, I mean, again, administrative, management, communications, commercial, sales, technological, and development. And also, I have seen as a software architect that we are bridge between the organization and the organization itself. Why? Because in some projects, when they start or I attend to meetings, I realize that people working in the same company, they don't know each other, and especially they don't know what they are working on. And by creating some meetings, I have seen that they solved each other's problems, and all they needed was to realize that they were working in something similar. That's part of what I like to think as a software architect, right? So again, we, you, may be facing these possible situations. You apply to a job offer, someone offers you a job, someone wants you to join a startup, you may be already working at a company, and but instead of thinking that you are an expert, try to consider yourself a bridge between what I've seen before, right? The people, the knowledge, the requirements, the methods, the programming, if you want to think of that, the the wire, the hardware, the software, but you are connecting finally things, stuff. That's the most important thing I want you to remember and consider about the software architect role in a company. And now, let's suppose that you are in the company, you are in your organization, and you start to attend meetings like the one we are having now. Right? I see you all sitting, and someone is talking, and you need to identify who is talking. In this case, it's me, but let's suppose that you have a meeting with a stakeholder or probably some project managers, and you need to identify the who is involved in the meeting, and you may find profiles like this. The C-level executives, they like the short facts, they want to know how to improve, how to get money. You have the product owners, they're going to push for their own projects, or they think sometimes that what they're doing is going to save the company. The project managers, they have people and they need to organize people to create things. Business analysis is a kind of information that need to be processed and they need to get the insights. You may be also talking to external dependencies, like IT contractor. Your organization may outsource something. That person is going to be in that meeting. Sales representatives, they like numbers. They need to sell the most with the least. You may have also developers, right? You may also have designers, and by designers, I'm not only including the software designers, I am also including the developer designers, and you also can be talking to software architects like yourselves. So try to identify who are you talking to, why. The next step in a meeting or in a work team is to identify the why each one of these profiles is talking to you, why they invited you, why are you in that team. They may need to get to corporate level goals. They have the half one, half two of the year, quarter one, quarter two. They want to optimize or automate things or improve processes. They need to identify success criteria for their own projects, and you are going to be responsible for guiding them. They also may have metrics or key performance indicators, and they will be asking you to assemble to help them with that. And some things I have seen also is that they may be getting to a service level agreement. Sometimes I've been in meetings where the client asks me, as software architect, to join the meeting because the outsource is going to say something that may imply risks for the organization. So that can be the why you are participating in the organization. Until that point, please do not think of the what. Only identify the who, the why, and the what will come eventually, like the how. I have seen many times software architects or IT professionals that rush to work again and they don't clearly identify what are they trying to do because they have not identified before who were they working with and why. Some projects I also have seen that the client says, I need this, the what, and you trust blindly in that what. But when you start talking and you start to knowing more information, you realize that it's not that what they wanted. It's not that what they needed. They needed something else. So again, identify and validate the who, the why. You will create your own list of what are you trying to achieve, what are you trying to accomplish, and do not get worried about the how. By the how I mean, okay, I need to design this architecture. What patterns am I going to involve? What resources can I use? Do I need to include these people in my team? Or when do I start? When do I finish? No. The how will eventually come. And you will lose a lot of time if you start rushing or you get hurried and you get worried about the what and the how. First, who and why. Now, at this point, we can say that you are software architects who are part of a team. You are software architects who are learning and improving. And you are also software architects who are interconnecting people and ideas. And I'm expressing all these sentences in present because I don't want you to think that you will be. No, right now, please think that you are that. And you need to carefully think of that. So, when should a software architect start participating in a project or organization? I have been in companies where they say, you are the software architect, we will talk to you later. We need to discuss some ideas first. And some people say, okay. But in my experience, I have seen that the sooner we get involved with the project or the organization, the better job we could perform. Right? I remember that I was creating a data lake for a company, a financial company, and they wanted to skip the software architecture role. And I insisted on participating in early meetings. And I was able to have the whole picture and identify a framework that was more suitable to the needs than the one they were thinking. A suggestion, remember the software development life cycle, the SDLC. And I'm gonna give you just an example. It's not the final process that you will see, but it consists of these basic stages. First, we have the plan, cost benefits analysis, scheduling, resource estimation, and allocation. And again, do not think only of the hardware, software. Obviously consider the human resources. The second stage is the design, where you take these requirements and identify the best possible solutions to create such software. You move on to implement, and the development team calls the project or the product. You will have the testing phase, especially important for QA, and try to automate as much as possible. You will find a deployment phase or a stage where you try to also stream the process of creating the software. And finally, you maintain what you have created. I'm not saying that as software architects, we should be participating 100% of our time in the entire life cycle. No. What I have seen by my experience is that at early stages, we as software architects need to work harder, need to participate more, need to talk to more people and collect more information. And slowly, our role will decrease, but will not disappear. Why? I have been in projects where I propose an architecture, yeah, but there was a change during the process. And if I have quitted the life cycle, I would have missed and skipped important changes. So what I try to do, is only a small suggestion, is that I stay in contact with the development team. Okay, if you need anything, please talk to me. We can arrange a meeting, ask many things because I don't want you to go blind to create things. And there's a very beautiful experience from that. There was a data ops person who is now a very good friend of mine. And when I was creating the architecture, I explained to the whole team, data engineers, project manager, DevOps, data op, and at the end of the meeting, he said, "You are the first software architect I have seen in my life that took care to explain everything." Because most of the time, the software architects just give us the blueprint and do what you can with it. So please emphasize that in your learning and your process, you are working with people that need the software architect support. So do not work in the entire life cycle 100% of the time, but do not forget about your project. It's like assume ownership of what you are creating. Some people say that it's your baby, so please don't forget about it. You should be taking care of it for the entire thing. Meetings are everywhere. Meetings are something that we can't simply ignore. And I give you these small suggestions as software architect for the meetings. Listen to understand. Again, remember the profiles we saw before. Many people will try to talk to you because you are the expert, because you know everything, and they want to know what you can do. Listen to understand and listen and try to understand or read between the lines. Read their expression, read their fears, read their concerns, try to analyze all that. It's important. Do not think that you are listening to answer or to reply. No, no. It's a conversation. Every project has some degree of stress. And if you're trying to answer things, you're going to be more stressed. So relax. Don't panic. Take notes. Um, a client, well, actually, not only one, many clients have told me that they prefer when you make visual content and you see the people. So I'm taking a pen and I'm writing some notes, but I'm not typing because I'm not taking a dictation. I'm just taking your ideas. Where if you want to use paper or a tablet, anything, but do not lose the visual contact from the people. Again, identify who are you talking to. You can classify them. It's a strange word, but you can classify people in these three circles. Get as much possible context as possible, please. If you are going to create a software for a telecommunication company, do not restrict your scope to only the com part or the technical part. Try to understand, okay, this project is going to be implemented in what country, in what city, in what population, what regulations, what do I need to understand? Okay, have we seen anything before? Do we find any competence or opponents in the market? Oh yeah, as much possible as context, it may help you to take some decisions in the architectural design. If possible, only if possible, and remember to ask first the permission to record the meetings. Why? Because in that way you won't be worried or stressed for taking only notes. You can take the most important parts of the meetings and you can review or you can watch later the recordings. Identify the people. Some people will be in the meetings only to participate. Some others will be more talking, some others will be more receptive. Some people will check only one, and that person may be the owner, maybe the person who gives the money. So you be completely aware of all that. You in meetings will identify people who are, I want to go to A. A is my goal, and during the meeting, the other person may say no. I think we should go to B, and another person who say no. We should aim to C. So try to identify the objectives, and all the information is going to be important for your architecture. Who is making the decision and who should be making the decision? Sometimes you attend to stakeholders that do nothing, but they trust blindly in another person. Also identify the technical level. from the people you're talking to. You may see people that only use technical words but do not fully understand what they're talking about, with all respect. So try to identify that. And also identify the band, the budget, authority, need, and timeline. Because some people may say, I want this for tomorrow, I want this for the next quarter, and the other will say, no, we can simply wait for the next year. So try to identify all of them. There's a difference between being efficient or being effective. When you are efficient, it's because you identify unnecessary activities and make the most of available resources. Right? That's why I try to represent the dart in there, where you have multiple attempts and you score with one. That's efficient. But on the other hand, we can be effective. We go to goals, we take into account the impact and result of actions to produce the desired outcomes, and we can achieve objectives with a high level of quality. But what happens if you try to be very effective, if you try to be perfect, you may take a longer time to complete your goals. And get ready for the trade-offs. At some moments in some projects, you can say, okay, this is the minimal requirements we have for this project, and I'm going to propose an architecture that may scale with the time in order to be more effective. It's balance. Try to balance what you are gaining, what you are losing with each one of your decisions. Again, it's all about balance. Again, in each one of the profiles you'll be talking to, a software architect, identify the goals, the objectives. If you come to a project that already has started, identify the current state. Not every project will be in a green field when a company will have nothing. No, some projects will say, okay, we need you as the software architect, as the expert software architect to comply with this, to meet with these requirements. And you say, okay, let's go with that. You need to understand what are you working now and what are you going to work in the future. Identify the work team and their responsibilities and their commitments. In some projects, people tell me, this is going to be your developer. Okay. And after the meeting, I ask that person, how much time are you prepared to commit? And that person said, no, I only came here to listen. I am not officially assigned to this project. So identify the work team and your resources. The metrics, what's measured improves. If you are in a project, a software project, try to identify if you are gaining or you're trying to reduce the latency, if you're trying to increase the number of users, if you're trying to protect the security, try to identify the metrics and the success criteria. You may be thinking of something, but the other person, the one that's going to be using your software, may be expecting something else. The gaps. Again, there's no human being expert in everything. So you can try to identify the gaps to help, not to point, not to blame, but to help. I have been in projects with junior developers, and when we go to a meeting, I say, okay, we are going to join. We're going to have a meeting with the client. What's your level at this? And that person, with all honesty, say, no, William, I'm not sure about that. Okay, don't worry. So I know in advance, as software architect, that there is a gap, and I'm not going to expose that during the meeting, but I'm going to work later with that person so we can learn together. Select or identify the preferred official communication method. Some people will say, I prefer the emails. Great. Some others will say, no, I'm okay if you want to contact me with instant messaging. Okay, but try to analyze, identify which is going to be the only preferred official communication method. When you finish a meeting, that's another tip I give you. When you finish a meeting and you are writing the commitments, you can say that before this sentence before the meeting ends. Okay, thank you so much for your time. So I'm gonna be sending you an email with what we have discussed in this meeting. So we all know what we need to work and the deadlines. That's it, using the official communication method. Obviously, we need to know what's the technology stack, because if, for example, a person is going to propose or is going to work in a project for data, and the programming language is not the most um, it's not the most suitable programming language for data manipulation, you may say, okay, what if we consider this other one? So programming languages, hardware specifications, operating systems can be in your pocket, in your list of what you are going to work in the project. Again, I, we should reinforce now that you are software architects who are part of a team. You are software architects who are learning and improving. You are software architects who are interconnecting people and ideas. And you are software architects who are willing to power up efficiency and effectiveness, both of them with the trade-offs you may identify. Help yourself before helping others. Like when we are in an airplane, that they say put your oxygen mask first before trying to help other people. As software architect, when we have all this information, many people are depending on you, they trust in you, so you try to create your own source of truth. Because I have seen many organizations with a lot of pages, documentation, and they don't even use it. So you say, okay, I'm gonna start creating, use whatever you want. You can use documents, you can use folders, you can use pictures, whatever you want to create your own source of truth and collect all the information you can and classify it. Okay, I am in this project, and we already have defined a deadline. We need to finish this at this time, at this specific date, and we can't go beyond this budget. And I have seen that officially this person is the project manager, this person is the product owner. So try to identify and collect all this information. Remember that when everything is urgent, nothing really is urgent. Many people will tell you, please, please go with my project, because sometimes you will be working in several projects at the same time. And they will say, please help me, or please help me. My project is urgent. My project is urgent. So try to prioritize what you're working on. Traceability everywhere. If you can trace the meetings, the responsibilities, the duties, like the tip I told you, ask and leverage on software tools. If you're working in an organization, they probably will have selected whether if it's Jira, Confluence, calendars, reminders, alarms, assistants. Use them. Take the most use and the most advantage of all these tools. Security first. Ask for security protocols. If there's no such thing, propose. You may say, okay, what data are we working? We're working with transaction, money, card holders, and start asking, why are we manipulating this data? Who owns this data? Who needs to access this data? Outsourcing, okay, we have the information from people, and other components will come from other parties, third parties. So who should authorize this access, and for how long? What's gonna be the method to authorize? It's gonna be an email. Where are we going to store this data? Uh, Consider carefully the compliance regulations. If you're working with health information, personal identified information, um, payment card industry, whatever you try to find in your local area, in your company, in your city, right? What are the compliance that will be working for your data? We don't want to think of this, but please consider, what are we going to do if there is a data leak or breach, right? Work in advance. Do we have any backup policies or data retention? That's something else to consider. All of these, even if they have the protocol, work on it. Identify these questions in the whatever protocol they have. and try to create a flow chart for yourself and for the other people. You can say, okay, my software or the software we are designing is going to have this data, and this is going to be the process, and this is how are we going to work with it. Make sure you have a couple of meetings to with the internal team so we all are in the same page. Again, so far, you are software architects who are part of a team. You are software architects who are learning and improving. You are software architects who are interconnecting people and ideas. You are software architects who are willing to power up efficiency and effectiveness. You are software architects who are organizing and securing data. And now, welcome to the technical or development area. Again, remember, you are part of a team. Understand the who, the why, the what will eventually come. Identify the as is, the current situation of the company or the organization of the software, what they want to be, and what you think should be the software. Identify the technology stack, dependencies. If you're working in an organization, you may be creating a data lake, for example, and some people from the same organization will try to access that data. Good. But also from outside of the organization. Great. Do we have any contract? Monolithics? Consider the 12-factor methodology. If you find them, I'm not saying that every monolithic should be promoted. Some consider carefully. Are there any manual processes? Also consider because they may be automated, but not all of them. If their effort to automate a process is harder or more expensive than the manual process, sometimes people will tell you, let's keep it this way. Agile methodologies are using cascade or a combination, like some people say cascade agile. Remember this, the documentation is a love letter that you write to your future self. So try to document the most possible and best possible way. Also remember this equation, monitor plus alert plus response is sleep well. If you combine these, you may help yourself to achieve a better result, a better safer result. Again, ask for organizational standards. If we are working with a programming language, do we have a coding standard? What are with the best practices we are working? Do we have some patterns to use to avoid? I have been in companies where they say we do not use this, and sometimes you go and you find that the whole industry suggests that, but the company doesn't like that. So ask first. Do you have any technical chapter? Why? Because sometimes people want to learn more about a specific subject, but they don't have the knowledge. So you can propose in your organization that you're going to be creating data chapters or DevOps chapters where you take a subject or a topic weekly and work on it and explain that. Do we have testing plans? Where if it's manual, automated, continuous integration, continuous deployment, delivery? Do we have any disaster recovery plan? Do we have any center of excellence where if it's cloud, data, AI, center of excellence? And for this part, propose. If they don't have, propose. If they already have one, check and propose improvements. Be quietly disruptive because you're getting to an organization and you can't say from the first day, oh, I'm going to change everything and I'm going to solve all your problems. No, but that can be an internal war for yourself. You're going to be helping an organization to be more effective. That's something I want you to consider. Summarizing, you are software architects who are part of a team. You are software architects who are learning and improving. You are software architects who are interconnecting people and ideas. You are software architects who are willing to power up efficiency and effectiveness. You are software architects who are organizing and securing data. You are software architects who are contributing to the technical efforts. But most important, in my opinion, is that you are the software architects the world needs. That's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much.